channel to watch after midnight, and whatever's on, you're stuck with.
It was a quick midnight too. They didn't make it very long at all.
No. They did do the Star Spangled Banner at the end of the.
And then put up that test pattern.
Coming up on UGTV, Standing Committee Meetings of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. A meeting of the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee. This will be followed by a meeting of the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee.
Technical difficulties are over with TV. I will now call the meeting of the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee to order. We want to welcome everyone. Public comment is welcome. Anyone wishing to speak on an item may do so when that item is up for discussion. You'll have up to 3 minutes to state your comments. Please come forward to this microphone and podium to the right, our right, your left. For accurate recording purposes, we ask all present to speak directly into a microphone. Would the clerk please read the roll?
Roll call. Walters.
Here.
Murguia.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here.
Walker.
Here. Apparently the meeting in August was canceled, so we have no minutes, and so we do not need to approve it. Measurable goals, one of our favorite topics. Apparently Ms. Munt is here to present this item.
All right. Well, I'm going to take over for tonight, Commissioner, if that's okay.
No?
All right.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. Go right
I
ahead.
missed how they were handling this because I've been out of the
Yeah.
office,
So last month we were here. We had compiled kind of all the goals that had been brought before the standing committees. We paired them up with the commission goals, and in anticipation of our strategic planning session on November the 5th. And so we have the consultant hired for strategic planning. That's Sheila Shockey from Shockey Consulting, and she'll be contacting you with a survey and also available by phone as we set the agenda up for that day. So those are goals that she has, that she's used to prepare the agenda and to work with you all for strategic planning on that Saturday. So that's kind of the update we've got on the goals, unless there's other discussion you'd like to have.
So the date now is locked certain. Is it what, 8 to 2, something like that?
Like 9 to 2, yeah.
9 to 2. All right. Good. Okay. Any commissioners have anything on that they want to say? Okay. Moving to item 1. I have item 1 as applications, etc., under the land bank.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Tonight, staff's bringing forward 11 applications for your review and move forward to the Land Bank Board of Trustees. We also have one miscellaneous item, a mortgage foreclosure transfer, and Wilba Miller of Community Development is here, as well as Wendy Green from Legal, if you have any questions concerning that. Just want to, up front, there was a clerical error in your packet. Page 1, it said Rising Star Baptist. It is Guiding Star Baptist. We apologize. That will be corrected if it gets approved in advance, and it will be changed. But the Reverend is here from Guiding Star as well to talk if you need be. So we'll go into the applications. Of the 11 applications, we have 3 new construction, 2 parking, and 6 yard extensions. Our first one is 3519 North 80th, new construction, Oscar Whitmore. He resides at 2601 North 84th Street. He does not own any Wyandotte County ground right now, and that's why he's going to build and have his first home.
Charles, I don't mean to interrupt you,
Go ahead.
but, and you spent a lot of time on your presentation, but is there anyone that people are concerned about that we would go through each one of these?
No, no concern.
I move for approval on these unless somebody has concerns.
So let me ask if there's anyone in the audience that wants to speak on any one of these properties that either they're interested in it, they're in favor of it, or against it?
I'll
Okay.
second her motion.
Motion has been made and second to approve, well, I guess, item 1 and item 2. No, item 1, just the 11,
Yes, sir.
okay?
And then the miscellaneous item, the mortgage foreclosure transfer.
Yeah, and I just want to say, that's one with Argentine Betterment Corporation, just for clarity and on the record, I don't work for them, I'm not paid by them, and I have no role in that than unpaid advising to the executive director on that. So
Okay.
I would move for approval on that, and I can vote on that, and I've checked that with ethics, and we should be good.
Second.
Well, did we vote on the first one?
We had
No, we didn't, according to her. Let's vote on the first motion and second. Would the clerk please read the roll?
Roll call, Walters.
Aye.
Mergia.
Aye.
Townsend. Aye. McKiernan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye. We also have a motion on item 2, the mortgage foreclosure transfer, and a second. Did the clerk get that? Who made the okay. Would you please read the roll once again?
Roll call, Walters.
Aye.
Mergia.
Aye.
Townsend. Aye. McKiernan.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye. Mr. Brockman, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
That being the case, I'll call this meeting adjourned. This meeting of this standing committee.
And we will start Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee at 5:15, which was the published start time. We do ask that for accurate recording and broadcast purposes, all present speak as directly as possible into a microphone. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Alvey.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Murgia.
Here.
Townsend.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
McKiernan.
Here. I think everybody knows there is a revision to today's agenda. There was a blue sheet that came out this afternoon, and I do see you all have it. It will end up being item number 4 on the committee agenda tonight, so the last item that we consider. In terms of measurable goals, Mr. Connor, are we going to go ahead and handle that like we did in neighborhood and community development?
Yeah, the speech is the same, yes.
Okay. Then in that case, we will continue that discussion at strategic planning on November 5th. That brings us to committee agenda item number 1, which is a resolution to set a public hearing date for the University Rosedale Urban Renewal Plan amendments. And I do believe, is that, Angela's going to present that? Come on up.
So again, I just say we've seen this. We can go through it again, I'm fine with that. But unless anybody has a dying urge to see it again, I would move for approval.
So I guess I'd ask you, Angela, since we have seen this presentation before, we know the background of this, and we know why we're here to set the public hearing agenda. Is there anything new or changed that would really mean we should hear this presentation, because otherwise we do have a motion to approve as submitted?
It's back this evening because there were concerns raised about conformance with the urban renewal plan in terms of the approved project. It was approved by the Planning Commission in September. So unless there's questions about what the proposed amendments are to bring it into compliance.
So there's
But-
no issue.
But the Planning Commission considered it and approved it.
That's right.
They did. There's just some items from the 1964 urban renewal plan that it does not conform to, and the lenders for the new market tax credits, when they reviewed that, had some concerns about that, and so that's why it's back tonight.
And yet all we're doing tonight is simply setting a public hearing for the airing of any concerns.
Correct, and fast-tracking the item to the October 13th commission.
Over an issue
Commission-
that was around before I was born.
Commissioner, could I just add, the Planning Commission found the project to be in conformance with the Rosedale Master Plan. This involves a different document, the Urban Renewal Plan that was adopted way back in the 1960s. So it's a slightly
But-
different item, which is why it's being brought before the commission.
But if I'm not mistaken, we did actually have a presentation on that urban renewal plan about 6-7 months ago.
Correct, it was considered because of removing the hotel restriction.
Right. And so effectively, we have a motion here to approve setting the date for the public hearing as submitted.
Second.
And there's a second on that. All right.
Yes.
That's a third. We can count that as a third.
Yeah,
Once ag- Go ahead.
when it comes to these kinds of things of setting hearings, I would prefer, unless there is a commissioner or Mr. Alvey that want to hear it, I don't want to hear it tonight and then go through the same thing at the meeting.
I second that.
We're just simply setting a hearing so anybody who wants to speak for or against has an opportunity to do that. We're not going to probably change our mind about having a hearing. So we have a motion and a second.
We do.
I call for the question.
So just to be clear, since we have previously had this presentation and we're all familiar with the background of the project, we are going to go ahead and move forward to set the public hearing date, and we're going to fast track this to the October 13th, or this coming Thursday's full commission meeting. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Alvey.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Murgia.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye. And thank you very much for coming by tonight. That takes care of item number 1. Angela, thank you very much. Item number 2 is a public hearing and resolution for the Boyer Medical Office Building Project IRBs. Once again, my understanding is that this is to set a public hearing date for the issuance of the industrial revenue bonds. Is that correct?
Correct.
So I'd move for approval.
Second?
There is a motion and a second for approval as submitted. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Roll call. Alvy?
Aye.
Walters?
Aye.
Mergia?
Aye.
Townsend?
Aye.
Walker?
Aye.
McKiernan?
Aye. Gosh, Angela, you're knocking them out tonight.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item number 3, and I do think we're going to have a new presenter for this one. And that's a resolution, the second amendment to the Legends Auto Plaza Development Agreement. And Mr. Brakovich.
Thank you, Commissioner. George Brakovich, Economic Development, although I was tempted to ask Angela to stay up here, but that's okay. We do have a presentation. Actually, we have a couple of folks here that I'd like to ask up, Kurt and Kevin, if you don't mind. Kevin Quinn is with the development group that did this project, and Kurt Peterson with Polsonelli represented them on it. So thanks, guys. Sure. Quick presentation for you. The project area that we're talking about is the, let me see if I have a pointer here. Yep. So that's the Legends Toyota, and this is the Legends Honda. So we did a development agreement. If you recall, this was the former Roger Smith & Sons from State Avenue. This dealership moved out to this area, and then the same group decided to try to do a development package for this area. If you kind of look at the parcels, the ones represented inside this black square represent the pieces of ground associated with this particular development agreement. So what we're here to consider tonight is actually removing a couple of the lots or the parcels from the development agreement. I'll kind of get into why. So as we look at it, here's the plat map. This, again, off screen here is the Toyota. This is the Honda dealership. These darker shaded streets are both the private drive as well as Lafayette Avenue that the UG required of the developer to put those roads in as part of this development package. That left, after Lot 1 developed with the Honda, that left Lot 2, Lot 3, and Lot 4. And it was all, what we were hoping to find was to attract a second car dealership here. So the nature of the development agreement was structured as such to offer an incentive package to get the 2 dealerships. But the way the incentives themselves were approved back in 2011, and it was actually a UG home rule where we gave the UG share, 100% of the UG share of property tax generated by the Honda back to the project, as well as 0.9% of the sales tax, capping that at a $2.6 million level. Like I mentioned, there was additional incentives that could go beyond that cap, but only if they put in the second car dealership. There were LMW requirements on the construction phase, which they met, and as I mentioned earlier, they had to put in Lafayette Avenue. They had to actually design and construct that, and that was approximately $700,000 in cost. Then we came back in 2012 because we asked for an amendment to the development agreement then. That actually gave us a chance to add additional LMW requirements to the project, so we put an operational component. So for 3 years, they had some goals for custodial security, landscaping, auto and lot washing, and building maintenance, and they've completed those as well. So tonight we're here for the second amendment, and again that proposes to remove lots 2, 3, and 4 from the development agreement. The primary reason from staff's perspective that we're asking to remove those is we have another auto mall development right across the street, and if you kind of look at the size of these lots again, let me go back to them, you kind of get a sense of, you can see the scale of it here. You see how large Toyota is, and then Honda. So part of this is going to be an overflow for the Honda, and then there's a collision center actually proposed here. And both of those projects have been vetted through planning already, and I believe you guys have your planning and zoning. Yeah, final plan tonight if we can get out of here in time. So a little bit about what those new proposals are. The first bullet point is where I wanted to start. Those 2 projects aren't asking for any public incentives. So again, they've been vetted through planning. They're looking to get final planning approval tonight at the meeting. But a little bit about what they are, because I think they are good projects for that area as well. The collision center will go to Lot 3. It's a $3.5 million investment, up to 15 new jobs with an average salary of about $80,000. The car wash overflow lot, the car wash project itself, and sorry Kevin if I'm kind of rolling through it, but it's not actually a car wash that's open to the public. It's a car wash for the dealership itself, and again, it's part of the overflow lot. Again, that itself is nearly a $3 million investment. We're projecting up to 5 new jobs there, and again, you can see the average annual salary. So again, what we're here for tonight is the second amendment to the development agreement would remove lots 2, 3, and 4 from the confines of the specifics of this development agreement. Guys, anything to add to that?
We can certainly answer questions, Kirk Peterson with Pulsanelli, but one thing that that would be remiss if I didn't mention as well, George is right about the cost of Lafayette. The total public infrastructure that the Baxter Group put in under the auspices of the public-private partnership was even above that $2.6 million eventual hopeful reimbursement amount, so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it looked a little lopsided when it was actually the other way around. They put a lot more in than they'll get out.
Any questions, any discussion, any more information?
Move for approval.
There's a motion to approve as submitted? Second. There's a second. Yes, ma'am.
Just one question. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Does this removal of the property relieve the UG of any additional burdens or any burdens? That's the question.
Patrick, if you want to answer that, from my perspective, it does. We still have the agreement on the Honda dealership because they are in the middle of a 10-year agreement for us to reimburse for the costs that they've submitted for eligible costs, again, up to that cap amount. So we'll continue to do that, but for the lots that are being removed, since they're not going to be subject to the terms of this agreement yet, I don't believe we have any.
And then actually,
back
this
to
sounds
the
kind of
project.
funny, but it's sadly true. When we have these development agreements in place and we deal with the buyers and then also the lenders of the buyers, they call me and then I call staff and we end up having to negotiate partial assignments and assumptions and explain why this obligation doesn't flow to them because they're not the master developer. So it actually, in however way you look at it, it saves time and money for both staff and us too, since there's no real relevance, as George has already explained, of the development agreement to those lots. That answers your question, Commissioner.
Not quite sure that it does, but maybe between now and the time that this moves on, we can get a little bit more into that. Nothing detailed, but I just wanted to know if there were just certain obligations that we were being freed from. That's it. But I would not withhold my agreement to move this on, so ready to call for the vote.
I'm sorry. Is perhaps, I don't know, would these not be then eligible for the property tax rebate from the
Correct.
original agreement?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
So
they're
removing
gonna
them.
there will not be any UG incentives for the new projects moving forward?
Definitively, I can say there aren't any UG incentives for the car wash overflow or the collision center. I'm not sure what the future of Lot 2 holds, but we'll certainly keep that in
We'd
mind.
have to come back to for that if that answers your question.
Correct.
Okay.
As George said, who knows, but right now we have no right to that without coming back and visiting with you.
So in other words, the original agreement for these lots
Yeah.
would be void.
Correct.
And I know not to talk too much because you guys have a lot to do, but I will say, Commissioner, because I'm listening to you not feel so totally satisfied, which means we're not doing a very good job. And I thought of one other item that because I've been in this deal with Kevin and his partners for a long time, so it's maybe implicit to me, but I want to make it explicit, which is another answer to your question, is that Lot 3 up in the upper right there, which we all hoped would be another auto dealership, would have generated additional incentives that the UG would have given part of the property tax and the sales tax, and that I would call an obligation, probably the kind of thing you're talking about, that is going away with this. So that would be, yes.
Yeah, and maybe to that end, for the Honda, we're capped at 2.6 million. We would have put another 2.6 million in had the second dealership gone in. So I guess for the UG, rather than 5.2 million in incentives, we're staying capped at the 2.6 million.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Good clarity.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roll call, Alvey.
Aye.
Walters.
Aye.
Mergia.
Aye.
Townsend.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here tonight. That concludes item number 3, and it takes us to our blue sheet, or the added item for tonight, and that is a resolution and an ordinance authorizing the issuance of utility system revenue bonds, 2016 B and C, and also approving this to be fast-tracked to the 10/13, or this Thursday's full commission meeting. And I do believe Kathleen Von Atchen will at least begin this presentation.
So I have another question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
this presentation, and back to what Commissioner Walker said. We're going to hear this full presentation at the full commission meeting, correct?
That is correct, is that,
Yes.
yes?
Right. So really, in essence, it's sort of like just setting a hearing date,
Yes.
in essence. Yeah, so I'm with Commissioner Walker. I would prefer that this be presented in front of the full commission, because I've been out of pocket for a while, and I just got this, I haven't reviewed it, and I'd like a chance to review it and talk to my other fellow commissioners
Sure.
and see
So
what's going
that's a
on.
motion to approve and fast track to the 10:13 meeting.
That's exactly right. Motion to approve and fast track it to 10:13.
There's
Second.
there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Commissioner, I just want to make sure we're not setting a public hearing with this. like
That is
the other
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are forwarding this
This item
for
for-
presentation and vote at
Correct.
the 10:13 meeting.
And we're gonna
But
hear
at that
the whole
time,
story.
we will get
No,
an
I understand. I just
entire
wanna make sure the
presentation.
first two items were set in public hearings.
That's correct.
Which is different than this item.
Yes, we're aware of that.
As long as we're going to get the presentation at the 13th?
13th, this Thursday.
If it'll be fast tracked, it'll be on, it
Yes.
won't be on consent.
And your
Correct.
action is to recommend approval, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And that won't put it on consent, will it?
That
We'll
it will
still
not
have
be.
the presentation.
Because it's being
Yes.
fast tracked, it can't go on consent.
Fantastic.
Well,
Then
because
that's
if
perfect.
it's a bond issue, so you have to actually
Right.
vote. You can't be on consent.
Fantastic.
All right, there's been a motion
Good.
and a second. There is no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Alvey,
Aye.
Walters. Murgia,
Aye.
Townsend,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
McKiernan.
Aye. To the best of my knowledge, that takes us to the end of our agenda, including the blue sheet. There being no further business.
Well, we have to apologize to all these DPU folk that came over.
But it's great to see them all.
We're gonna
Yes.
we're saving our gunfire for Thursday night.
Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.